podcast.
And we are live and in colour. Welcome everybody to another Sunday night D&D with the Ugly Kiwi and friends. Right, so those that were here last week, 2 weeks ago, we had an interesting episode. So before we get started, we're going to be just to let people know the context of tonight's game. We're going to be introducing a new character tonight. You'll see his stats on the overlay there. Those in the Discord, I think you guys met him briefly last week. Sadiq will be joining us at some stage this evening. Not sure, we know when, so it'll be up to you guys how and when you progress to where you get to before you meet him, but it'll happen this evening. So that's pretty much it. Without further ado, we will get into tonight's recap. So, from episode 11, you all travelled to the township of Gatton. Upon reaching the city gates, you were stopped and told about strange happening, and that they weren't allowing any travellers into the city. After informing the guard of your guild status, you were asked to go see Maglador, the headmaster of the order. He then explained what was happening and asked for your assistance. You travelled to the northern docks, scouted around the area, spoke to Captain Walter, and almost ended up in the city dungeons, as Neymaris, completely out of character, decided to almost start a little war. After a little negotiations, you got back to searching for clues and found patches of what appeared to be salt water in and around the docks. You lay in wait until dark. You then entered into combat with two entities, one male, one female. Combat ensued. Neymaris charging in, raging as usual. Het and Fiala soon followed headlong into combat, followed then thereafter by Alessandros, who was hiding up the mast of a ship. The man was ferocious, and his meal attacks brought Fiala to unconsciousness twice, and twice Het came to her aid. Alessandros felled the woman with a flurry of dagger strikes, spilling her blackened blood. Het then destroyed the man with an inflict wound spell, almost melting him into oblivion. You then returned to Maglador with a corpse, and this is where we pick up our story and the start of episode 12, Refields Curse, Part 2. So you find yourselves back at the guild house. You have you are in the midst of speaking to Maglador, who is examining the body, and he informs you that this particular entity is indeed a sea hag. A very nasty, fiendish, undead type creature. Not often seen in these parts, aka the sea hag. It's normally salt water. But there's been a lot of strange happenings in the realm over the last sort of week to 10 days. Things are happening that shouldn't be happening, and this seems to be one of them. And he explains, just from your description of the male corpse, that sounded to him like a kraken priest, another very nasty water-dwelling fiend / undead entity. What are you going to do? It's now nighttime. It was still nighttime because you got there dark. Your quarry has been vanquished.
Is she any good to eat?
I wouldn't eat. I mean, if you're into cannibalism, that's quite up to you. But I definitely wouldn't.
Fish and chips, fish and potatoes.
She's not a fish.
What about those omelets and the Maras?
That sounds like quite a good idea because I found some eggs.
Oh god, no! I started it again.
Yes, you did. DM face palms. But Maglador said you guys are quite welcome to. Obviously, the guild house is yours. You're quite welcome to spend the evening. The city guard won't allow any travel this evening if you're looking at heading out to wherever you were heading to. But welcome to spend the evening here. Rest up, regain any lost hit points, regain spell slots before you make your travels. Heading towards, if I remember rightly, you're heading towards Refield to determine what is happening there, and I could probably give you some more information about that in the morning. I myself are turning in.
Spell slots.
Magador then proceeds to tell you that he is turning in for the evening, and the guild house is yours. So,
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
I, for one, would like to wash up and have a nice, long, uninterrupted sleep.
Sounds like a good idea to me. I think I could do with some food and drink as
Agreed. Head is tired. He's pretty spent and very sore.
I'm gonna meditate on some spells somewhere and fix my hurt head.
So we all agree that a night's rest, food and drink, definitely is in the cards. So you guys have a look around the guild. This guild's a lot smaller than obviously the Guild of Valon. There's no real servants here, but there's a fully functional kitchen. You're able to make your own. You're able to make your own food. There is ale. There is wine. Doesn't seem to be any hard spirits or anything here, but it's definitely enough to keep you to service you for the evening. And there's a bunch of rooms available. You can, there's probably enough rooms that you'll probably have to share. It's not a huge place, so you'll probably have to share a room with another member of your party for the evening. But there are rooms enough for you all. So who's sharing what room with whom?
well. I don't mind sharing with the girls. Actually, I don't mind sharing with anyone really.
The problem with sharing a room with Damaris, she could break the whole damn room down.
Great, then hit you and me, buddy.
Okay, sweetheart, I'm easy.
Apparently, hit is easy. So Alessandros and Fiala share a room, and Hit and Namaris share a room, and you guys bed down for the evening. Your evening goes without sort of incident. You're in a nice guild house. It's comfortable. It's warm. You guys go to sleep. No one really has any issues throughout the evening. Namaris, you have a restless sleep again. Just thoughts coming to you about your past and about what you've discovered about yourself come to you in waves during your sleep. You sort of think about the voice that you've heard previously. You also your mind wanders back to your god quite a few times during the night. The incidences with Walter has weighed heavy on you. You're feeling a little guilty because of what happened. It was not like you. You're a little worried that it may have had something to do with the fact that you've raged a few times over the course of the last couple of weeks that you, in instances you probably normally wouldn't have. So that incident has definitely you feel a little guilty about what happened more than anything. So you've had a bit of a restless night's sleep throughout the night. The rest of you rest, you sleep, you rest well. Morning breaks, no incidents at all, and you'll wake. You are rested, spell slots, HP all restored. Seems like it's going to be a nice day. It's warm. The sun has come up, and it's not late in the morning, but it's later than normally because you guys fought into the evening, so you've slept a little bit later than you normally would have. When you wake, you're all in your room still. What are you going to do?
Ed would like to talk to Namaris.
All right then. Hello. Morning.
Morning. How are you feeling today?
Well, I think I might just need to give my little sword a bit of a polish because it's been looking a bit uncared for, and maybe a little meditate. But
Oh, that's excellent to hear. Just curious. Yeah, last night when we were talking with the seaman Walter. Yes, that was put in there deliberately to see if I could get laughs.
And the DM was the first to break. How's that?
When we were talking with Walter, I did notice you got quite angry quite fast. Do you have a problem with seamen?
not usually, no. Usually get on quite well with him, actually.
Okay, just checking. You seemed quite angry at him for. Well, I mean, you're okay. I mean, we were all getting a little upset that he wouldn't help us out, but
Well, in hindsight, you kind of got to think that, we could have been any Tom, Dick, or Harriet from anywhere, really. So he didn't know us. So we really shouldn't. I shouldn't have. I should probably go back and apologize to him, to be perfectly honest.
it's probably not a bad idea. I wouldn't spend too long worrying about it. However, he seemed pretty dubious in the end of it anyway.
Might just send him over some eggs and just say, to say sorry. Have these and we'll see if we've got a little messenger somewhere.
Is that a usual thing for you skinned people? Do you normally give food as gifts?
Oh, we do. Do you not?
We normally eat food.
Right. But you don't
Anyhow.
cook here.
No, we don't cook. No, you wouldn't want to send by package raw meat. I guess it wouldn't last so well. Anyway,
this is quite
I
true.
just wanted to make sure you were all right. So, other than that, I guess we should catch up with the others.
I suppose we should go and see what those girls are up to, and hopefully they've both had a good night's sleep.
One thing I do miss Azalan quite a lot as well.
I hope he's all right.
Yes, it worries me that we don't have his level head to run things.
Kind of miss Gillian a little bit as well, because his pranks were a bit fun, sometimes good for a laugh.
Yes, I mentioned that a bit previously last night that I missed him, but definitely Azalan's sensible head is sometimes what we could do with. Maybe Fiala can fill the spot. Do you think we could push her into the lead role?
Can't really serve with an axe, can you? But we could give her a bow. She might be good with that.
Yes. We'll talk to her and see what her skills are like. Maybe put her up at a target. Let's go see.
All right. Do you want to put your hand up to be the target? Because you probably got thick.
I thought we'd use an actual target.
Oh, I was just, and I kind of give him a nudge and a wink.
Head smiles as he strolls out the door.
Nick,
well.
I'm getting dressed and going downstairs for breakfast. Whatever breakfast.
Breakfast is whatever you guys make it. This guild is pretty much self-serve.
I have eggs and mushrooms. I reckon we should make some omelette.
Well, you don't have those eggs anymore. You gave them to Fiala to cook for you.
Oh.
And if I remember correctly, she offered because you had no idea what you were doing, so she offered to do it for you.
I'm a bit sad now. I kind of hang my head and think, bugger.
I'm going to sneak down and have the eggs all prepared for everybody.
So as you guys return to the guild hall, you return to the smell of freshly cooked omelettes, and appears to be bacon, and I think Fiala would remember that Het probably would prefer all his meat raw, so a plate of raw meat for Het, and coffee and everything's all prepared for you guys as you reach the guild hall, and Fiala's there sitting waiting for you guys to join her.
Surprise!
I think we should keep this one on. She's pretty good.
Yes, good morning. Well done. Some of this smells delicious.
Yeah,
Did
I thought
Sit. After you.
After you.
Het just sits at the table and grabs some raw bacon and begins to eat, nodding and thanking Fiela.
Anybody
I'm
else?
so tempted to boop him on the nose. I just want to go. boop.
Hey, if you want to boop him on the nose, go for it.
I will restrain.
Doesn't want to lose a finger. I understand.
So you guys sit down and have a hearty breakfast. So you guys would be... This would probably sustain you for most of the day. It is a decent meal, a decent morning meal. The coffee's piping hot and strong. Maglador makes an appearance briefly and sits down with you guys and gives you a bit more information about Refield. From his investigations, he explains to you that the scouting party from the guild had come from Vallond in recent weeks and that they had not returned. So it's been maybe 2 or 3 days since he last saw them. He gave them the same information, that it seems that whatever's happening at Refield, the activity is definitely more active in the twilight hours, which seems to be the case is what you've got here in Gatton as well. That the daytime would be a good time to investigate the village, and then to find out exactly what's happening or what creatures have established themselves there. You definitely want to wait until nightfall. So he gives you all this extra information you didn't have before. He's told you there's a possibility of lower level undead around in the village of Refield. So we're talking zombies, skeletons, possibly other type of aberrations, maybe ghosts, shadows. He's not entirely sure, but that's...
Is there sorry, Hitas, is there some sort of magical creature or being that is raising these undead, the priest of the darkness?
This much we're not sure. Things, as I say, have escalated, and a lot of strange happenings have been reported from as far away as some of the other boroughs in Paradym. We've had incidences coming from the north and south of just undead creatures being in places where they wouldn't normally be, and where you would normally find them, the concentration seems to be more. It kind of reminds me a little bit of an old prophecy, which when we first came across it, we didn't pay it much mind, but I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the prophecy, but it's called the Profanity of Asmodeus the Cruel. And part of the only fragment that we were able to find in a bunch of different books was the actual incantation used to start the prophecy. There's obviously a whole bunch of different things that need to be done with this, but the incantation, if I remember rightly, started something similar as a Pantheon of the Nine Hells, Infernal Spirits. I'm the one to summon.
Oh wait, I've heard this one.
Blah blah blah. You've heard this before, Master Head?
Yes, I do believe so. Yes. Oh, I maybe not heard it so much as read it.
And
we did some.
Yeah, you go through your notes and file, like your bits and pieces that you have, and you still have the parchment.
I have the parchment right here in my dirty little hands.
And it's exactly that. It reads, "The Pantheon of the Nine Hells, Infernal Spirit, I am the one to summon thee. I call upon the minions of hell, spew forth your unholy forces, let the prophecy be fulfilled. This nocturnal hour, chalice of blood, Pantheon of the Nine Hells, your will be done." And that's the incantation that was you took from the Kobold Sorcerer, from the abandoned keep.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, definitely. Ask away, Master Het.
When your people found this incantation, did they read it out?
Well, I know from past experience that the incantation alone is not enough to cause anything to happen. It has to be coupled with a ceremony, possibly a blood sacrifice, There would have been markings on the floor or wall, things like that. So it was definitely red, but we have determined that it needed a whole bunch of other things. I mean, we didn't inadvertently start the prophecy, of course. But
I'm sorry, you mistook me. I wasn't accusing you. I just wondered, because I also read it, and I thought, oh dear, maybe I started something.
where did you find that particular parchment, if you don't mind me asking?
I believe that may have already started then.
Do you believe the prophecy has been partially fulfilled at least?
I think Ellie's correct.
So,
Yeah,
where did you find that particular parchment? I mean, that looks older than the one that we discovered. We discovered ours probably a year or two ago in the southern reaches of the realms and doing some archaeological digs, but that one looks much older.
Ellie, do you recall exactly? I know
believe
it's in the...
I believe it was to do with our quest to go kill a dragon.
Yes, you guys, you found it on the body of the sorcerer, kobold sorcerer, in the abandoned keep when you were, on your quest to take out the dragonling, and it was in the main chamber. There was a demonic symbol scrawled in blood on the floor, and when you entered the room, he actually recited that entire incantation while casting some form of spell as well.
You have a great memory, Ellie. I think you are correct, actually. They may have already activated this prophecy, or at least got it to in its beginning stages.
Yes, and you also found out through Thorfey when you asked him about it that he did tell you about the stages in which this prophecy would present itself, and the early stages would be that basically the lesser undead would start to rise and rise more often, and that was basically the first stages of this particular prophecy. So Magaldor, after hearing this, goes, well, indeed, it sounds like this prophecy may have begun. I will make sure that I send a message to the guild in Voland, and in turn get them to talk to those in the Arcanus and see if we can find more information about this prophecy and what this could possibly mean. If it's only just started, then what we're seeing is the entry level fiends and undead being able to cross over into the mortal plane. Not at will. They do need someone with more power to allow them to cross through. But if this prophecy has started, this is only the first stage. In the stages to come, we're going to see more powerful and greater undead and demons, and that being able to breach the plane of the nine hells and cross over into the material plane. If the prophecy is to completely fulfill itself, then we could possibly see Asmodeus tear open a rift to the ninth level of hell and allow all manner of fiends and demons and undead to wreak havoc on the material plane. This is not good at all, and you can see he's visibly shaken. He has read through this prophecy, knows what's possibly happening, and he is quite shaken, and he sort of stammers a little bit. You should still go to Refield, definitely, and discover what's happening there. Bring any information you find back, and I will definitely pass this information on, because if this is the case, we need to try and find a way to stop this from coming about, because what I can see happening, if this prophecy fulfills, we're going to see a new age of dragons and demons ruling the material plane, which has happened once before. I mean, I don't know how much you know about the Dragon Wars, but that was essentially the start of it. This prophecy is to bring about the Age of the Dragon, and the last thing we need is to have dragons ruling this plane once again.
Head finds himself torn.
Does this mean we should kill all dragons then, including Dragonborn?
Dragonborn are different. Master Hit should well know. Though they are born of they are dragonkin, yes, dragons care not for dragonkin. Dragonkin become slaves of the elder dragons, as does everybody. If an ancient dragon were to surface on the material plane and take hold in the realms, the material plane would plunge into darkness and chaos.
He's not wrong.
They
We're created more for fighting them as opposed to working for them, but yes.
Yes, it is a last. Believe you me, even as much as Dragonborn are dragonkin, and we don't want to see dragons back in this realm. Not on that scale. Not again. We fought for 50, 60 years to fight back the last of the ancient dragons, and it took a toll on these lands. And we can't see that again. I mean, it's taken us hundreds of years to recover from that. I mean, Volond was the last of the great dragon cities. I mean, I think it's the only city left with remnants of the dragon stables.
Have there been rumors of other dragons?
Not that I've heard. Not in this part of Paradym. I mean, I could send word to the other guilds across the realms and see if we've had any other happenings across the realms and find out more information.
This group was tasked with taking out a wormling, I believe.
Oh yes, we did hear about that. That was definitely part of the guild. Obviously, that's been the only young dragon we've heard of in the past probably 25 years. Hence why we dispatched a group to deal with it quickly before it grew. I mean,
you're welcome, by the way.
And you can see he's impressed that a group that was tasked as a young guild group that didn't have a lot of experience in the world. He's impressed with the ability that you managed to take down a dragonling, but he also turns to you and says, young rogue, while I'm impressed that you were able to take down a dragonling, which is a very young dragon, I was around when the last great dragon was on this plane, and believe you me, you do not want to face an elder dragon.
Hey,
and he pulls his collar aside, and you see some really large burn scars from sort of his neck right down across his chest. And he says that was what I got left with from my last encounter with an elder dragon. So yeah.
Well, I guess, Maris, are you thinking we seek this party?
I think it might be a good idea to carry on and see if we can find.
I agree.
So by this time you've gone through talking to him. It's probably now leaning towards lunchtime. So you've still got the best part of the day. It's only going to take you a couple of hours to probably 2 or 3 hours to move north towards Refields. So you've probably got a little time to spend in Gatton before you move forward.
He would just like to ask, just quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but is there somewhere around here, like a jewel crafter or something, that I could have something added to my loot? Someone who could do that. And also, is there a temple to the Steel Lady here somewhere that I can go to?
I'm sorry, Master Hit. We don't have a temple to the Steel Lady, and I'm not sure that we have a jewel crafter here in Gatton. We're only a small city within the realms. You would probably have to go back to Volond for the jewel crafter, and probably for the temple.
Fine, just checking.
I do apologise. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what you're after. I may be able to help if you would explain what you're trying to do.
Oh, well, I mean, I work from two departments. I have some bardic magic within me, but I also work with my deity for some of my spells, and I have trouble swapping between my items. I was thinking of putting my holy symbol into my loot's head, and therefore I never have to let go of the loot.
Well, I may be able to help you with that if you wouldn't mind leaving your loot with me for maybe an hour. I would be able to magically attach it to. Do you want like inlaid into the head of your loot or into the neck?
Correct, inlaid into the head is exactly what I was thinking.
I can do that for you magically if you like.
Excellent. What will that set me back?
Don't worry about it. I mean, you solved our problem here in Gatton, and you're obviously going to hopefully bring back some information about Refield and the prophecy. So I'm happy to do this for you free of charge.
I'm sorry, team. Is it okay, Fiala and Amaris, Ali, if I hold us up an hour?
It's funny because I was just about to ask if there's a little altar to Helm here anywhere.
Oh, come on, guys. Really? You got to do all this now? Yeah.
Yes, there is an altar to Helm, which will be back in the Azurbridge section. There's a statue to Helm, not so much an altar. There is a statue to him.
I can go and just have a little meditate there for 5 minutes while we're waiting, if that's all right.
Excellent.
So you hand over the loot, and he retires to his office, and he shuts the door because he obviously doesn't want to be disturbed while he's doing what he's doing, and yeah, he will magically imbue your holy symbol into the head of your loot. So who's doing what? Are you just going to wait at the guild, or are you going to carry on?
100% wait at the guild.
Okay, so you're going to wait at the guild house. Now, Maris, you wanting to head to the statue of Helm?
I'm just going to head to the statue of Helm and just have a little sit down, little talk to him, and just kind of get my head.
Okay, so that's easy enough. You can sit at the statue and contemplate.
I shall be waiting with Hep.
Okay, and Fiala, is there anything you wanted to do in this next hour?
I'm going to sit and have coffee.
Sit and have coffee. No worries. So, again, the hour goes by. I mean, you guys talk, or if there's anything you guys want to talk about, you can do that. Otherwise, you just sit and talk, general chat. Namaris, you sit and with your sword and meditate on and thoughts of Helm, which is fine. You feel his presence whenever you sit and meditate with that. You again, that pang of guilt sort of hits you while you're there, but you talk to him. You explain what may or may not have happened in the incident, and at the end of it, you feel better for it. So that hour passes. Maglador returns and says, "Well, it's done," and he hands your loot back to you. And just as per you requested, your Steel Lady symbol has been magically imbued into the head of the loot, and it looks really, really nice. It's well placed. And it looks like almost like it's been set there by a jeweler. But he said that won't go anywhere. It's held in there by magic.
Excellent, Lord. I thank you, Lord Maglador.
Pleasure is all mine, Master Het. I wish you all the best in your travels to Refield, and hope you find something to prove whether this is this prophecy or not. I mean, if it's not, great. I mean, good thing. If it is, then we can work towards stopping it. I wish you good travels.
Okay, I wish you good not travels and he travels deeply.
Wish you good not travels.
He's not real good with his etiquette.
No problem.
On our way out the gate, I just want to have a quick word with one of the guards and say, look, you should be all right now, but please don't be hesitant to call on the Velocity Guard if you.
Oh, why? Thank you very much. Most of us are simple farmers, but I appreciate that.
That's all right. Look after yourselves in your little village.
So, Fiela and Ellie, are we walking out of the temple now together to wait for Namaris?
Yeah, well, she, as you guys sort of step out the front, she'll pretty much be walking back, and you'll sort of catch her as she comes back to the guild.
Just as we step out of the guild, just before we catch her, I have a question for both of you. I just wanted to ask.
For who?
For Fiela and Ella Chandras.
Right.
Okay.
I don't like where this is going, but okay.
I don't either.
It was just a simple question, really. The other night when we were having the minor battle, before the skirmish started, the I don't know what you want to call him, the pirate Walter, did you guys have any major issues with him? I just found Namaris was quite angry with him, and we maybe got off on the wrong foot, I guess. But do either of you have problem with seamen?
Oh wow!
What's seamen?
Men of the sea.
Yeah, well, this
People who
is
drive boats.
yeah, this is it.
Oh, I thought they were all right.
Yeah, because Fiala, you've never heard of a seaman. You don't know what a seaman is. You don't know what it does. You've lived in a forest your whole life.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
that's good.
Everything is hatched from eggs out there.
That's good if you don't have any issues.
You're not there,
I
no
mean, I
more.
feel
Shut
like
up.
I might have started that. I might have started that little anger fest, maybe, but nonetheless, yes. As long as we don't have any racial tensions, it's fine.
And it's at this moment, as you guys are sort of talking outside the guild house, and you see Namaris approaching, and hit a messenger comes running up to the running up to the guild house and goes to knock on the guild door, and then turns and sees you, and goes, Dragonborn. Sorry, I have a message
Yes, I am.
for a white dragonborn. So I guess that's you. And he hands you a message, and on it it's just it's a sealed letter, and it just has hit maiden written on the top in nice calligraphy, like Sanskrit handwriting, and it has your family's seal on it.
Oh dear.
And I've sent you a message in Discord.
Yes, I'm reading the message right now. You others carry on while I read this message. I'll follow behind.
Alright, well, I grab the girls, one in each arm. Not literally picking them up. I grab, the arm around the arm. Like a chain link fence, and I look at them and say, "Look, I'm really sorry, ladies. I was not myself last night, and I think I should just apologise."
So no more omelets then, huh?
Oh no, I still like my omelette. No, I mean when I attacked Walter, that was just not right for me, and it didn't. Yes, I shouldn't have, and that wasn't very. He did nothing.
I think it's all right.
Just can you try and warn us before you start doing stuff like that again? Maybe?
I pick Ali up and throw her over my shoulder and start running.
Make a street check. First dice roll of the night. Alexandros, do you resist? Firstly,
14.
No, I'm good.
you didn't resist. Okay, 14. Yeah, you managed to pick. She's not heavy. I mean, Alexandros is a slight girl, so you're able to pick her up and throw her over your shoulder without too many hassles.
Run about 5 meters laughing, and then I put her.
Bye, Allie.
All right, moving along. Let's go get our horses.
Yeah, so you know that Refields not that far away. You could probably, and on horseback you'll get there within sort of 2 to 3 hours. If you take it up by foot, it'd be 4 to 5. You want to get there before dark because you want to be able to do some investigation before nightfall. So horseback is definitely the way to go. So by now we're sort of breaching 1:30 in the afternoon. So you get to your horses. They're watered. They're fed. They're saddled, ready to go.
Is Het back with us?
Hit is still walking, reading behind you.
Yeah, Het never left you. Het's still with you. He's reading his message that he received.
We just kind of turn around and say, "Oh, good, buddy. You alright?"
Oh yeah, Hit is fine. Just reading and walking are not top of my list of awesome things to do. I am a slow
That's
reader.
right. You're a boy. Are you a boy? You're a boy,
yes.
aren't you? Yeah, so you boys can't do the whole reading, walking, talking thing very well at all. Anyway.
No, well, you are correct, yes.
Yes,
I must finish this letter.
multitasking is not the thing of Dragonborn, by the way.
I just grab onto his elbow so he can keep reading, and I'll steer him with.
Hit finishes the letter
Okay.
and rolls it up, puts it in his
Mud pile.
backpack.
All right, so you now get to, you get to the stables. You get your horses, they're saddled, ready to go. You mount your steeds and you set out towards the small village of Refield, which is northeastish of Gatton. So you head out north and you have to sort of travel around to the east a little bit. Let's bring up the map, give you an idea. So Gatton is right there on the shores of Lake Gatton, and the road will take you directly north and then veer off to the east and heading towards another small lake. And Refield is probably about a mile or so from that small lake. It's going to take you roughly 2 to 3 hours on horseback to get there. Can I get everyone to make a perception check for the first hour of travelling, please? Remember, if you roll lower than your passive, use your passive.
Nat 20.
What's your actual number? Remember, nat 20s don't mean a lot on checks like that.
Nat 20.
20, okay.
15 for me.
19.
19 and hit.
16.
16. So you're all pretty alert about, and you notice the first thing you guys notice in this first hour of travel, there is virtually no other traffic on this road. You've seen one or two what looks to be possibly farmers heading towards Gatton, but they came more from the Arthurstead Fells area more than Gatton. And as you sort of look to the northeast, you can see that the sky seems darker. It's not like it's dark or rainy or stormy. Things seem darker in that direction. It just doesn't seem right. Something seems off. And as you get closer and closer, the temperature does drop. It feels kind of airy. It almost like the colour starts to fade from the grass and from the trees. There's definitely something just not right about this area. Next hour of travel, can I get another perception check, please?
11.
12.
15.
Damn it, I should have been first. 13, it would have gone in order.
So again, the same thing. Now you've hit your second hour of travel, and along the road, the color hue drops out to almost a dull grey. So your browns are starting to look more grey. Your greens are starting to look more yellow, like pale yellowish and brown, and everything just looks really washed out and everything like that. You can now see the outskirts of the village itself. It's not a big village. It's probably only home to maybe 100, 150 people, so it's not a huge village. Everything just feels so dark. You especially feel uncomfortable in this area. Just something, whether it's just your sense of the divine with your from your time spent learning as a cleric, things don't feel right here. It feels very, very wrong.
I look over at Het and I'm like, have you come across this before in your travels? And does this look right?
No, it feels a little off, but I don't think I've ever come across anything like this before.
Fiala, you also starting to feel very uncomfortable because the wildlife here, there doesn't seem to be any. You've not heard a bird. You've not heard a wild animal call out, like you've not heard a wolf howl or a bear growl or any kind of thing. You've not heard any wildlife, even so much as a fly buzzing in the area. It just seems to be void of life. So this is also starting to make you feel quite uncomfortable as well.
So I say, guys, I don't like this. Doesn't it feel like there's light?
I might take the front if that's alright, guys.
So you want to take the front?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get a bit of a marching order. So Namaris is in the front. Who's next? And like, you riding 2x2 or in a single file?
Oh, possibly 2x2.
2x2. So who's with Namaris in the front?
I'll go up front.
Ellie goes up the front, so we have Het and Fiala there. That's fine.
Het will be right behind Alexandris.
Yeah.
In the 2x2 order.
No problem.
If that suits Fiala.
Sure.
So, as you approach, you're now getting to that third hour. So we're now probably reaching. You've been taking it very cautiously. Now that things are starting to seem uncomfortable to the most. I mean, you all feel uncomfortable, but Fiala and Het especially feeling it. And so your pace is slowed somewhat. You're really sort of taking in what's around you. You've noticed that a lot of the trees, the very few trees there are in the area, they're starting to look like they're dying. Like they haven't dropped all their leaves, but they've started to drop leaf. The foliage again just doesn't look the right color. The grass is starting to die off. The sky is starting to grey and really sort of cloud over. And it, let's say, it just does not feel natural at all. And things are now just it's weird. It's almost, you almost feel like you're in a cave to a certain degree. I mean, you know you're not. Obviously, you can see that you're not in a cave. But no bird sounds. You've got a sound of wind sort of through what trees are there and through the fields. You can hear like what possibly a small creek or a river nearby sort of just trickling as it would normally would, but even that sounds wrong. Everything just feels so wrong. So you're now probably looking at 3:30, approaching 3:30, 4 o'clock. You've maybe got an hour and a half, 2 hours before sunset. You can now see the village. It's not fenced. It's just an open village. You've got, as you approach, using the road to approach, you've got a bunch of small dwellings off to your left and a few small dwellings to your right. What looks like, as you sort of, from where you are, you haven't really entered the villages as yet. You're sort of approaching up the hill. You see what would be the central part of the village. There's a well. There's two larger buildings, one to the back of the well, one to the right, and a few small buildings, and there's some trees and stuff around. But again, everything looks very washed out and greyed, and things just feel so eerie here. It sounds very unnatural, and feels unnatural.
I might jump off the horse and start leading it if that's alright.
Do you all follow suit?
I think that would be an awesome idea.
Yes, Het dismounts as well.
Yes.
So you all dismount, and as you start approaching the village, Just Sadika just sent you a quick message, but in Discord. Yeah. So you've now you're just starting to crest the hill, and you start to approach the first small building on the left in the village. And as I'll just bring up another picture here, so you guys can see exactly what you're seeing now.
Well, what that? Wow.
Oh, that doesn't look very good.
So as you guys approach, you guys are sort of now have just crest the hill into the village. You've got these few small buildings to your left. You've got a cart to your right. Very clearly you can see the corpse of a horse at the base of the cart. Another small dwelling just above that. A larger building just up from that. On your left you also see what is left of someone. Lots of blood, body parts. As you move towards the village, move closer into the village, you see the two main buildings at the back. You see the well. Around the well is blackened and scorched, like it's been hit with an explosion of some sort. You see more bodies strewn around with villagers or other party members or other guild members. You're not sure. You know that a scouting party had been sent here previously, so you're not sure whether any of these bodies are them or not. But
Fresh.
everything looks the horse's corpse. There's flies, but the flies don't sound right. They sound off to you. But you'd say you'd probably know with your fine nose of raw meats and things like that it's probably 3 or 4 days. The horse definitely. Everything else looks within the last 2 or 3 days.
Can I just go over and have a look at one of the bodies and not loot, but loot just to see where they're from, if I can find anything?
You want to loot the closest body?
Yep.
Okay. So as you approach this first body, which is this one down here, roll a perception check for me, just quickly.
It's a dead body.
No, just roll just a general perception check. This has nothing to do with the body. Just roll a perception check.
It'd be can I use my passive? That's
A what?
10.
10. Yeah, you think you hear something. As you approach, you hear movement, and not the building that the body's closest. The one next to it. The one, this one over here to your, which will be approaching. It will be to your left.
I might veer off over there then if I can hear something.
Okay, so you're going to go have a look there as well.
Mm-hmm.
As you approach this building, the door opens, and Sadiq, could you please describe what she sees?
She sees about a 6'2" half orc with ash grey skin, black dreadlock hair, in scale map.
Right. I see this and I pull out my axe. I'm holding it in 2 hands and I'm like,
You don't have an axe, you have a sword.
oh, my sword. Sword axe, you know. I pull out Helm's Vengeance and I'm holding it in my hands and I'm looking at him going, did you do this?
Do the rest of us see this?
No, I did not do this.
Yeah, you guys have now noticed the same thing. You sort of turn to where Namaris was, and you see this figure in the doorway.
This was my scouting party.
I put my... Do I think that he's lying?
Roll an insight check.
Ten.
Sadiq, are you lying?
No, I am not lying.
Alright,
But
do I...
I also say, I see you are a member of the same guild.
Oh, right, so I put my
He,
sword away, hold out my hand.
essentially, he's recognised you as Fledgling guild members. He recognises you from your ceremony. He was at your ceremony. You guys probably would not have recognised him as being there because he would have just been there as part of the ceremony. He wouldn't have maybe stood out. But he recognised you guys straight away. He knows. He doesn't know you personally, but he knows you are members of the guild.
I put my hand out and say, "Hi, I'm named Maris."
It keeps his weapon.
I grab
his loot.
just past her hand, like a
The warriors grasp.
yes, and shake her hand and say, "I'm Sadiq."
Nice to meet you, Sadiq. And I'm kind of not intimidated at all by this handshake because I think mine's strong.
Hey, if you want to roll a strength check to see who's stronger, be my guest. Strength versus strength.
22.
24.
So as you guys grip each other's forearm, it's almost like a friendly test of each other's strengths. I mean, you're both big. I mean, Namaris is about your height. She's probably a little bit bigger than you build-wise, being the fact you're a half-orc, not full-orc, and she is a barbarian Kalistar. So you both grip, and you sort of almost reminiscent of the Arnie and Predator, where it comes in and him and his mate are doing the whole arm wrestling thing. And you sort of both hold it there for a second, and Namaris, while you know that his grip was probably stronger than yours, you don't show it. And you guys release your grip and sort of nod.
I've kind of got that smile and I'm like nodding, going, right, nice to meet you, Sadiq. What's happened?
Undead.
Undead. I kind of look around. Right. Explain what happened.
So Sadiq has... The scouting party arrived here 3 days ago. And when the party arrived, they investigated pretty much as you guys have. Sadiq arrived late. He's only been here a day. And he arrived to find pretty much his entire scouting party slaughtered along with the villagers, with the exception of one young rogue who is missing. And his name, when I bring up my notes here, his name is Sulla. Sulla is missing. You have not been able to find any trace of him. But you know from your investigation since you've been here that the slaughter here is most likely due to that of zombie, possible skeleton warriors, and a possible vampire.
I explain all that to them.
Why were you late? Why were you not with your team?
Actually, I don't know if I discussed it with you. Sadiq was late because he had been given orders to gain intel from Gatton before meeting his party at Refield. So he was actually in Gatton for a day previous to you guys arriving the previous day.
And the one that's missing, was he with the group here or was he late with you?
Yeah, your microphone is sounding a little far away. Kind of weird.
Any better?
Kind of odd. We can still hear you, but you're sounding a little muffled.
Apologies, I'm not sure what that is. I have had an update and it's a bit of a jerk.
Degrading. What voice sounds degrading on?
Possibly. We can still hear you, so it's fine.
Okay.
I was actually sent here to find this man, and yeah, he's not one of these.
He steps back, but still doesn't. He's wary.
Okay, so as you guys start to look around, you go through each house. Sadiq sort of basically walks you through what he's already discovered, and I say most of the bodies here are of the villagers. There doesn't appear to be any survivors. He has partially. He hasn't removed the bodies of the previous guild members, but he's covered them so they're not laid out in the sun, baking in the sun and rotting. He has covered them to the best of his abilities. He had intended on using the cart once he'd completed his investigations and found out exactly what had done this. He was going to use the cart to then bring the bodies back to Gatton for a proper burial. So at the moment they are covered, but they are still there. And as per his investigations, you would know just with what he explains to you and what you see that there is definitely something not natural here and has been here. The place reeks of death, and apart from the obvious bodies, there is definitely an air of unnatural undeath here as well. And again, Fiala, you have not seen anything like this before. You've not been anywhere where this level of violence has ever been apparent to you. Not that you remember, probably not since you were a young child would you have ever seen anything like this. So this kind of a little bit of a flashback thing happening for you. The level of violence here was absolutely brutal. So this whole thing makes you very nervous and very unsettled, and again, just that lack of anything living in this particular space has really got you quite rattled.
I just rub my arms and I stand behind the group a little bit.
So now we're probably approaching 4:30, 5 o'clock by the time you finished your investigations. Dusk is probably maybe 45 minutes to an hour away.
Head would like to check the corpses that are left, every single one of them.
For what in particular?
Paralysis.
Any sign of anything out of the norm, notes, something like that.
Roll an investigation check.
I'll help him.
With advantage.
Okie dokie.
I'm going to have a check of the
18.
18. You go through a few of the bodies, and you don't find anything out of the ordinary. I mean, apart from the obvious wounds, some of them look like claw marks. Others do look like blade or bludgeoning style damage. But there's definitely a lot of like claw and what look like teeth marks and things like that. So you definitely concur that this was not any ordinary battle. It wasn't like these people were slaughtered by soldiers or anything like that.
Would I recognise any of these claw marks or any of these battle marks?
Not particularly. It's unusual. It's not a typical battleground. This like I said, there's definitely something off here. And Sadiq, with his knowledge of the undead, explains that a lot of the claw mark wounds would be from zombie type entities and other things that have claws, and any of the weapon damages is most likely from a skeletal type warrior.
Claw marks, is it infectious?
No.
Cool, just check.
And you said you wanted to check the well?
Yeah.
Investigation check on the well as well, please.
15.
15. As you sort of lean over and have a look down the well, just like you can see the water, like the top of the water shimmering in sort of the fading daylight. You can see that shimmer of the top of the water. It looks okay from where you can see. It's dark. I mean, it's like any well. The edges of the well are blackened and charred. Again, like the whole area around the well is just blackened, with the scorch marks. I mean, it looks like it's either been set on fire or there may have been anything. Something's definitely scorched this area. And there's a big scorch mark in front of one of the buildings as well, which is very, very similar.
Well, I suppose get a lay of the area and find a place to park our butts and keep an eye on the area.
And Sadiq, you'd also know you've pretty much done the same thing. So where you were hiding where you'd actually held up probably gave you the best advantage over the area. It gave you a full view of everything, and you remained relatively hidden.
I suggest we camp. Yeah, I was there.
Is there anywhere that we can put the horses where they'll both be safe?
Well, you could tie them back down. You could probably tie them to a tree away from the village if you wanted to.
I'd recommend sending them packing. I mean, it's not that far of a walk back to wherever it was we came.
It's true.
Are these not guild horses?
But I don't think it'd matter too much.
All right.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, you guys debated amongst yourselves.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that because they're pretty much trained to go back to where they came from anyway. Or they should be.
You wouldn't.
Head is not discussing with the group. He's continuously going over the corpses looking for personal effects, anything that may have been left as well. Personal effects, especially this time.
Okay, so as you go through, again, looking for personal effects, you find things like wedding rings and necklaces on the villagers that would, I mean, they had their basic personal effects. But this wasn't a rich village. There might have been a couple of hand-carved pendants from a couple that may have done something nice for each other. Apart from that, there's not a whole lot.
Het takes what personal effects he finds, storms over to Sadiq, and grabs his hand and slams the personal effects into his hands and says, "Did you not think to take these to give back to their families?"
No.
This is not some of your party. Did you not say it was your party?
Those personal effects come from the villagers. Any personal effects from the scouts, he would have most definitely taken. Like the guild writs that were on the bodies, he has.
Understood.
I probably should have been more clear. Yeah. So as far as the guild members are concerned, they've been cleaned up, laid out, and covered. So they're all under blankets. They've all been cleaned up, or their bodies have been cleaned up of any wounds to make them presentable for proper burial.
So he rephrases it. These are the personal effects of the locals. We should find at least someone related to them and deliver them.
That's better.
Still at Sadiq, though.
Yep.
We can try, but it's not the most important thing.
Yeah, so just to give you guys a bit of context here, Sadiq would be, he was a guild member before you guys, so he would definitely hold a higher rank within the guild as far as knowledge and obviously experience, but not a huge amount, like not hugely above your kind of rank. But his knowledge of the undead especially is probably what would pique your interest here, even though you may be standoffish with him. He has
Standoffish. That doesn't sound standoffish. That's like downright suspicious.
Well, that too. But his knowledge of the undeath is either leading towards that suspicion, or it's definitely piqued your interest, either one way or the other, because he has an awful lot of knowledge about the undead. But
yes,
you guys
is definitely interested.
you guys go back to the small house where you first met Sadiq, and he leads you inside, and he's set up. He's got a fire going, a small fire going in there, which isn't enough to draw any attention to the building. It's just enough to have a small glow inside to sort of stave away a bit of the cold. And the front of the place has a couple of small windows, which is covered by a piece of cloth, but you can easily stand there, and it gives you gives you vision of the entire village from where you are, pretty much right up to the well. So it's a pretty good vantage point. So you've got about 40 minutes now till the sun will set.
I think maybe we should have a quick bite to eat before everything happens. And I'd like to hear a little bit more from Sadiq about what he knows about these undead.
When he knows where he's from, who he's killed. Yeah, that sounds...
Hit stays just out away from everyone, keeping watch. He is very suspicious of the area and wants his eyes on everything.
No problem. So, chat away, people, chat away.
So I sit down and I tell them that my home was called Drypool.
Yep.
Which is off to the north, if I remember. I was a scout for the town. I was out scouting one day. When I returned, the town had been massacred. And since then, I've been following a group of vampires and slowly trying to find a way to take them out. So I joined the guild and used their battle prowess to try to kill off these vampires and any undead that are around.
Yeah, so essentially he fills you in. Yeah, Beepole is the area he is from. The island that he's talking about is in the north of Paradym Realm. You guys would know it as Grim March area, which is it's on you guys. If you wanted to look on your maps, you would find it in the very northern area of the realm. You guys haven't been quite close to. The closest you've been is the Weirwood Forest. If you head over that, keep following that direction, you'll find it on the north part of your map. There is an island there. That's where his home city town was, and yeah, it was destroyed by a vampire coven. He has spent the last few years studying, tracking, and killing anything undead and fiendish that he can, and yeah, you joined the guild to use its resources and became one of the guild's top scouts in Voland, and hence why he was sent to Refield to find out why no one had heard from anyone in Refield for weeks and for a couple of weeks, and obviously during his investigation in Gatton, the guild, the rest of his team had made their way to Refield to investigate Refield, and when he joined his team, he discovered exactly what you guys have discovered now. Their dead bodies, the dead bodies of the villagers. This whole area seems to have died. The wildlife, there's no wildlife, there's no life energy in this area. It just feels very drained and very dark.
All right, well, I then... Oh, sorry, you go.
See, he's not that bad. See?
Hit seems preoccupied with scoping the area.
I go over and join Het, because I've heard what I...
So, by this time, the night has started to draw in, so the sky has now started to change colour and into the dark reds and oranges and purples as the sun sets. And as the sun goes down, you notice at first the feeling seems to change here as well. Whereas during the day it was gloomy and quiet and eerie, with nightfall it seems, again, it doesn't seem natural. There's definitely still no life as far as natural wildlife and that is concerned. But the whole feeling of the place starts to change, where it just feels odd to you. It just has a really strange feeling, but you get the sense that there's possibly now something here.
Hit lights up the head of his lute, using the light cantrip. He does not play a song, he just uses it. Done.
And it illuminates the entire room. It's not a big room. From the outside, unless you open the little sack curtains thing, you probably wouldn't alert anybody that you're there. But there's definitely something happening. You feel it. You feel there's something going on. You're not sure what. You can't see anything from where you are, but
Can
you
we hear
definitely.
anything?
Those that want to listen to see if they can hear anything, make a perception check.
Yes, it will.
18.
18,
12.
12,
18 for hit also.
18 as well.
I just hear dice being rolled.
So you had a crap roll.
Roll a 5, so.
Oh yeah, that's You hear your own heartbeat. And Sadiq, your roll.
I'll go with my passive, which is 14.
14. So yeah, you guys all feel. I think you all feel it. You're all pretty. I mean, Sadiq especially. You've been waiting here anyway, so you've been waiting and listening and sort of being aware, and you're all sort of waiting the same. So you all feel that same eerie kind of feeling as the sun goes down. It feels different than it did during the daylight. Whereas at daytime, everything felt just like there was nothing. It just felt weird and empty. And now you feel like you think you see movement, but you're not sure. You think you hear movement, but you're not sure. It's very strange. It's not natural. You're just getting the sense that something's here, but you're not sure where. You can't see anything just yet.
Fiala, do you have anything that can... I mean, Sadiq talks of undead. Do you have anything that can detect the undead or deal with it?
I think I have a spell that can.
What's the spell?
I don't know. In Moonbeam? Does Moonbeam do it?
Probably not. I mean, unless it was a shapeshifter, like specifically that you hit with it, you'd actually have to hit a target. If you can't see anything, then it probably won't. I'm not.
I haven't
sure.
had to deal with undead, so probably not.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any knowledge enough of the undead to be able to determine whether it would or not. I would say.
I am the same. I have nothing.
Well,
I feel
what are
like
we
I should
after?
have stopped and got some holy water or something like that.
What are we after?
Just something that can affect the undead.
I don't have any more.
Yeah, so Moonbeam. Yeah, you'd have to be able to see something to be able to cast it on it for one. It would do damage to the undead, but it wouldn't reveal the undead or give you any sort of foresight into the undead.
I guess, team, I think we need a plan. Sadiq, if this is your area of expertise, what do you suggest?
Wait until daytime before we go anyway. And have I been there long enough to work out where the undead went after they did?
Well, this is the thing. You're not sure. You've had enough time here to investigate that you believe that they're possibly still here. That you've not found any tracks leaving the village. Any tracks that were there were like the tracks in blood by the well, sort of go to the well and then disappear. You've investigated the well, and you can't find any evidence that something's gone into the well, but there are bloody tracks leading to the well, but they then disappear. But there's no tracks leaving the village. So you think that there's something still here. Whether it's a vampire or not, you're not 100% sure, but you have determined that generally where there is zombies and skeletons, is normally a vampire or a vampire spawn will be close because they have some form of control over the undead. You essentially were waiting here to find out whether this vampire or whether something's going to reveal itself, and they normally, obviously, they're nocturnal, they're not going to come out much during the day, so you know that at night's the best time to find out where they possibly could be, and then from there, obviously, with a vampire, you don't want to attack them at night because they're at their strongest, but you just want some information. So next hour goes by, and again, passives. What are our passives here? Bring up our passives.
Namaris, I have an issue.
What's that then, Het?
I've just realised outside there are bodies. If we're dealing with the undead, should we not have burned them?
I look at Het and I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Well, you'd
Well,
know
if something
as
is
well.
dead, it can be brought back
Oh,
to
right.
life.
Sorry, I was having a moment there. You're probably right. I
So-
think in the morning we should light a fire.
And as those words leave your lips, Master Het, because you were standing where you are, sort of keeping an eye on things, looking outside, roll a perception check for me, please.
15.
15. You know, you're the first one to notice it. One of the bodies of the villagers that you took your one of the small pendants from, it's not there anymore. It's the blood's still there. But you know the body is definitely gone.
Damn it! I say that out loud. Damn it!
What's wrong?
What's the matter?
I was just collecting the personal effects to deliver to the families of the bodies. I made a quick count. I know how many was there, and one of them is gone.
What you mean he's gone? As in up in what?
I did not see anything walking, but there's definitely one less body.
Pet, I knew you shouldn't have taken any of this personal effect.
I just
What?
checked my
Well-
mushrooms to make sure that they're alright.
While they're doing all that, I'm gonna reach into my bag and pull out 2 flasks
Yes.
and hand them to Het and say, "Holy water."
Thank you. Het takes them slowly and cautiously, watching Sadiq's hands.
So, what are you guys going to do? You going to go investigate? You going to stay here?
Het,
Aye.
as soon as he gets the flask, goes straight out the door.
Straight
And
out the
I'm
door?
right behind him.
Okay, so everyone is leaving the room.
That way.
So Het first. Who's after Het?
Me.
Then me.
Then me.
Yes.
I'm actually looking at him going,
As
what are you doing?
and as you walk out with the light on your loot still lit,
Correct.
you all turn towards the well and notice that the bodies of the villagers are all gone. There
Damn,
is-
that was quick.
They are now nowhere to be seen.
I kind of put my hand up and say, I think it might be worth actually lighting a fire in the middle of the village here.
Agreed.
Cover the well.
Cover the
Also
well?
agreed.
Yeah.
So you're going to move towards the well?
I'm gonna look
Het
for
is holding
something
his
that
loot.
could roughly seal the well, and then take that towards the well.
Okay, so what order are we all moving towards the well?
Het backs up a bit now, sort of thinking about the positioning he's in, and lets one of the others take the lead.
So we got Sadiq in the lead.
I'll be right behind Sadiq.
And
Do you need a
Mara.
hand with that, mate?
Eh?
Need
Okay.
a hand.
Yes.
You all follow suit and move to the well.
Het is sticking back beside Fiala now.
I'm in between the 4 heroes. In between.
Oh, you're in the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the horse still there?
The horse's corpse is still there. Yes. So we'll roughly have you guys there for now, and this is where we'll have you roll initiative. As you approach the well, a geyser of water shoots from the well, and as you sort of look up and think, whoa, you get a surprise. You hear a thump down your right, another thud to your left, as 2 zombies literally fall from the sky, and you get the impression they've come from the well as the water has been fired out of the well.
I look at I look at Sadiq and I'm like, is this happen normally? Is this a thing? We have people falling out of the sky.
I kind of look at her, shrug, and go,
And as the sort of you guys see that, and those two come out from one of the small buildings where one of the corpses was, another zombie approaches from the building itself. One from the left again, one from the right. Two skeletal warriors emerge from the main hall, which is this building up here to the top left. You got two skeletal warriors emerging from that particular building.
So let me get this straight. It's the new Namaris then, huh?
Well, anything's possible. So we'll get everyone to roll initiative. And 1 second, remove that. We'll bring our initiative order up. So hits.
Hit gets 18.
18. Nemaris.
22.
22. Sadiq.
5.
Ooh. Elshandris.
16.
16. Fiela.
8.
8. And now for the zombies, going to roll initiative. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. Holy crap. They get that. Skeletons. Oh, that's a good one. Oh,
Okay,
excuse me.
zombie slow roll. Awesome.
Yeah, that didn't roll good at all. Where's my tracker? And that one is not good either. Right, so we will now switch to our battle map. So hopefully this new filter works, and yes it does, look at that. Right, so as you can see, move this slightly this way. You guys can see, you guys are in the central part here. Zombie here, zombie there, zombie at the top, skeletons, and a zombie here. So top of the initiative order is going to be named Maris. Do I get an element of surprise here? No, because you would have been surprised by the water, the gush of water, and then the two zombies hitting the ground. But that's slow, slow enough that you wouldn't get a surprise round.
Where am I? Right now.
You are right here.
Okay, and where's the closest thing?
The closest zombie is 10 feet behind you.
Right, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to walk up to it and
Wallop him.
I'm going to wallop him with my sword.
So Namaris charges into combat with the first of the zombie warriors.
That is 20.
Yeah, that hits.
5.
I'm pretty sure that hits. I'm pretty certain that is definitely a hit.
And I do 8 damage. Sorry, 8, 9, 10.
What?
11.
11 damage, so slashing damage with Helm's Vengeance.
11 slashing damage with Helm's Vengeance.
So yeah, as you charge forward, the zombie sort of lurches and stands up and says, and goes to sort of strike out at you. And as he reaches forward, you just lop off his arm with one almighty hack, and it just drops to the ground. And thup, thup, thup.
And I remind people that as I am this close to him, anybody that attacks him will get a bonus to their
You get advantage.
Advantage to their
Melee attacks. Right. So, is that all you're going to do?
Is that only when she's raging?
No, that's just whenever she's within 5 feet of a target, you get advantage on melee attacks
Cool.
on any creature. So, yes. So, is that everything you're going to do, Amaris?
That's everything I'm going to do for now.
Everything you can do for now? You're not going to rage?
Not yet. Actually, I'll raid.
You're going to bonus action rage?
I am indeed.
Right, so with your bonus action, Amaris cries out an almighty roar and bulks up and rages. It's almost like she grows in size a little bit. Muscles tense and she sort of just lets out this really guttural sort of growl. Most of you have seen this before. Sadiq, this is the first time you've sort of been... You didn't have a warrior, a barbarian in your party, so it's the first time you've really seen it. And it... a little unnerving, but kind of cool at the same time. Right, the skeleton's turn. So the skeletons will shamble forward from their position. Let's see, movement speed 30. There. So the skeletons move forward. The first skeleton moves in and attacks Sadiq right off the bat. And he rolls with his short sword. Rolls a natural 20 on the first roll. So that definitely hits. So that'll be a 24 to hit.
Yeah, that hit.
1d6 plus. It's not much. So we're going to go 4, 6. So that does 8 points of slashing damage with his first attack. And yeah, it comes in just the skeleton's only got one arm. He's got no shield, and he just comes in. Sort of, you hear the bones sort of clacking together as he walks, and makes weird sort of screeching noises, and just swings his sword and quite fast. You were quite surprised. You didn't quite sort of react in time, and he catches across your breastplate. Doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but 8 points of slashing damage to you on that attack. Next up will be Hit, and Alessandros, you're after that.
Hit raises his lute that is lit up still. He does not sing, he does not strum, he just says, United we stand, one and all. And he casts Bless on only his original team members. Sadiq gets missed. So all of my team members now have a D4 to add to their attack rolls and saving throws. Then Hit moves right up beside Namaris in melee with the beast in front of her.
Done. So yeah, so Bless is a D4 on attacks and saving throws, guys. And ability checks. So, is that everything for Hit?
That is all for Hit.
Alessandros, you're next, and Fiala, you're up after that.
Where am I? I'm there. I guess go help Sid. I'll take the one closest to Sid. The one
that one at the top that's in combat with him already?
Yep.
Okie dokie. So that will have you in flanking positions. You'll give you advantage on the attack, and you'll get your sneak attack as well. So roll to attack.
$12.
And that's with your attack bonuses.
Yeah.
It's a 12 on a skelly bum. You miss with a 12. You do have an offhand attack if you wish to attack again.
Yeah, may as well. That's even worse.
So you got 2 misses. Alessandros comes in and attacks from behind and just completely misjudges her attacks and strikes across the bones of the skeleton. Doesn't seem to do any damage at all. Anything else? Bonus action?
Nah.
You can stay there. Fiala, you're next.
So
And Sadiq, you're up after that.
I'm going to try and conjure a flame sphere diagonally down to that guy.
Conjure flame sphere. Ooh.
Yeah.
I've not heard of that spell. Okay, so the one directly diagonal from you, the one that's on his own.
Yes.
So the zombie or the skeleton? You got a zombie here and a skeleton here.
I'm going to do the lower one.
Low one, so the zombie. Okay.
Yes.
So what does flame sphere do?
It is a 5-foot sphere of fire, 5-foot diameter, and it's a dex saving throw. So 16 plus the pluses.
So I've got to make a dex saving throw for the zombie. So that'll be your DC, whatever your spell DC is what I'm aiming for. He rolls a not good 6 minus 2. So he rolled a 4. I'm pretty sure that's a fail.
Yes, it's a fail.
So what's the damage on that?
7.
7 fire damage to the zombie. Do we have any damage immunities? Blah, blah, blah. No, so 7 fire damage to that particular zombie. Yeah, and that sphere remains too, doesn't it?
Well, I can move it as a bonus action if I want to.
Yeah, so it stays there. So if the zombie doesn't move, he'll take more fire damage. Bonus.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm going to leave.
So 7 fire damage on the zombie. Yeah, as you sort of raise your staff and recite the incantation, the sphere of flames just ignites under the zombie's feet and engulfs him in flames. He screams out in pain and sort of staggers and just starts to melt. You can hear the crackling and burning that burning of flesh. And it doesn't smell very nice either, because you are close enough to smell that. It's not pretty. Let's make this a little bigger so we can see it. So that zombie's engulfed in flames. Next, you gonna bonus action or anything like that? We're gonna stick with that.
I'm going to stick with that.
Stick with that. So Sadiq, you are up next.
I'm gonna call out by Tempest. You will stay dead,
No worries.
and my sword will light up in flame.
Awesome.
And then I'm gonna attack the skeleton beside me.
Roll to attack.
Can you burn my dice while you're at it?
I can try, Trash. I can try. So that would be a 15?
15 will hit. So roll for damage.
So that's 9 slashing and 3 fire.
That'll be radiant damage on using Heavenly Executioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be radiant damage, not fire, which is good against undead, obviously. So
Ooh, actually, I didn't roll that damage in either. The fire is actually from the sword lighting up. That's my natural thing.
yeah, that's from your. Okay, so yes, you need to add your radiant damage as well, because any creature that's evil or fiendish, you get an extra D8 radiant damage.
And that would be 3 on top of that.
3 radiant damage on top of that. So that was for skeleton. So what was your initial damage? 7 slashing?
Yes. Well, I meant...
Skeleton 1, where are we? Skelly 1.
It was 9 slash.
9 slashing, 7 fire, and 3 radiant.
3 fire, 3 radiant.
Okay, so well, that's enough to destroy that zombie. Describe how you obliterate the zombie in flaming radiant glory.
Well, I kind of like hit it and completely obliterate it, and it just like shatters, like bones just go everywhere.
Yeah,
And I'll look at Ali and go, "That's how it's done."
Yeah, as Alessandro, you sort of watch as Sadiq says his sort of homage to Tempest, and the sword engulfs in flames and lights up, and as he strikes down with almighty crack, and a massive sort of flash of radiant light bursts forward, and the skeleton just literally explodes into bone shards all over the ground, and sort of splays out in a cone away from you guys. And yeah, there's just nothing left but bone shards and bone dust. That is one skeleton down. Bonus action movement.
Just going to turn around and look at the next enemy and wait for it.
You can move into it if you wish. You have got
I'll do
movement
that
up.
then, yeah. I'll move up to the next one.
Yeah, move right into the next skeleton. No worries. Name Maris. No, next one is this guy. Yes. So, yeah, you guys have noticed it as the flash of the radiant damage sort of dims, and the skeleton drops. You notice the skull sort of hangs there for a second. Right, just hangs in the air and then ignites in a burst of flame. And where the skeleton was is now a small floating flaming skull.
I hate you, TM.
I like it.
It was a dice roll to whether it actually came on the board or not. And another skeleton emerges from the other large building. Right, who is next after the zombies' turns? This zombie is with your flaming sphere, or your does the zombie have to take more damage before it moves, but at the start of its turn or at the end of its turn?
I would believe before.
I think it's got to make a saving throw each time.
I think so, yeah. I'm just trying to remember.
Yes, it does.
Let's double check here. Flaming sphere. So any creature that ends its turn within 5 of the sphere must make a dexterity saving throw. Okay, so it's at the end of each turn. So that's fine. You can ram it into a creature and well and do damage. That's a bonus. But he can move out of it without taking damage. Right. So that zombie's going to move into combat with you, because you're the one that set it on fire.
Having flashbacks to the last battle.
That zombie's going to move towards you, Sadiq, but it will take have to make a dex throw. Rolls a nat 20 on the dex save. So roll your 2d6 fire damage again, Fiala, for that zombie. It'll take half damage.
6.
So it'll take 3. Takes 3 fire damage. And so Fiala, that zombie that rolled into you, is going to attack you. And rolls a... Ooh, where are we? rolls an 18 to hit, which I believe hits,
Yes.
and does 6 bludgeoning damage. Basically just slams you with its open, sort of its closed fist, almost like a hammer fist. Reaches up and just slams down on your chest and sort of almost knocks the wind out of you. You sort of step back a little bit dazed and surprised at the strength that this thing has. The other one is going to make an attack at you, Sadiq. Rolls a 22 to hit.
Yeah, that hit.
And 4 points of bludgeoning damage to you. And that is it. For them, next on the initiative order, back to the top, Namaris.
Well, I go to hit the thing in front of me, and I
the
roll a
zombie?
happy little 3,
Really? You rolled a 3? A 3 total?
including all of my...
So you rolled a natural 1.
Nope, I rolled a 2.
You're only a +1 to hit. That doesn't make sense.
Oh, hang on. Nope, right. 5, 6, 7,
And a
8,
D4.
9. Sorry, 10.
And your D4. You've got bliss.
11.
11 on a zombie. That does not hit. Actually, no, it does. Sorry, that is a hit. I lie. That is definitely a hit.
Praise
Hey,
the
lucky to
Lord
have
that
the
gives me the
extras.
bliss.
That is a hit, definitely. They're not very
So,
hard to hit.
and he will take 8, 9.
8, 9, yeah.
9.
9 what? Slashing
Slashing
damage?
damage.
So again, Namaris screams out in her rage and just again hacks away at the zombie and attempts to hack off the other arm. Doesn't quite get the same effect, but smashes down to the clavicle of the zombie and almost just about splits his body a little bit. Sort of you had to sort of wedge the blade out a little, it come sort of 2-3 inches down into the body of the zombie, and it sort of head lolls to one side and just looks at you and just goes and keeps trying to attack.
I look at it and I'm like,
And the skeletons turn next. Hit, you're up after the skeletons.
Sweet.
And the first skeleton is dead. Second skeleton is going to attack Sadiq. Rolls a not good. And what are we there? +4. So that is rolls an 8 to hit. So I believe that misses. He strikes
Yeah,
out
that's
at
a
you and
miss.
you just parry it with your sword. Sort of looking at it, thinking, "What the hell was that?" I mean, that was kind of pitiful. The other skeleton that's come out of the other building rocks into combat. Can't really get any closer to there, so that's about it. It's just rolling into the closest thing you can get to. Next, Het is your turn, sir. And Alessandro's you're after that.
Het grasped one of the flasks that Sadiq handed him,
Yes.
uncorks the top, and using in my action, I'm reading the flask here. I can hit a creature within 5 feet of me, but I have to use a dex throw. So here I go.
Yep. Roll D20 plus dex.
It is not so good. 3.
3. How far away are you? What are you trying to throw it at the zombie? Or
Correct. The zombie right in front of me.
well, yeah, 3. Even with a 3, you're still going. It's right in front of you. You're within melee range. You could literally smash it on its face.
That's what I was trying to do.
Actually, that's debatable. Really debatable.
No, I'd say I wouldn't even have made you make the dex with that. I just would have had you. Yeah,
Was
for
that with
flavour's sake, you literally
advantage?
reach out and you had advantage on the attack anyway if it's melee. But that was
Oh,
a
yes.
that was a throw. We'll make it with advantage.
Well, in that case, it's a natural 20.
I'll allow it. It's hey, you're within melee range, so I'll allow it. So you reach out with your
Thank you, sir.
with the flask and literally smash it on the forehead of the zombie. Roll your damage.
14 radiant damage.
14 radiant damage. Explain the demise of said zombie, because that is with the vulnerability to radiant damage, obviously, being an undead. That was more than enough to kill it.
In his left hand, as his bonus action, he'd already grabbed his dagger. As he smashes the holy water onto the zombie, he's stabbing in the stomach over and over and over again with the dagger. And he rides it down to the ground and is just kneeling on it and stabbing it.
So hit in a blind rage. The holy water hits the undead flesh, and it just this massive burst of radiant energy just starts melting the zombie from the top down. And as it's melting, Namaris, you see it. No one else probably does, but Namaris, you watch Hit just stab and stab and stab, and you've never seen Hit like this before. It's definitely out of character for him, and he just stab as the zombie sort of melts and falls and into a puddle of goo on the ground.
Then Hit stands up and heads straight towards the one in front of Fiala.
And you will get there with no hassles at all.
And that is all for Hit.
That is all for Hit. Next in the list will be Alessandros. Fiala, you're up next. So, Alessandros, you are closest to the flaming skull, but you're not within combat of it. So, you've got a zombie up by you as well. Sadiq is surrounded by a zombie and 2 skeletons. You are here. You've got 10, 15 feet to get to
I'll move
Sadiq.
down to
You'll move down to...
Sid in between Sid and... Yeah, about there.
About there. So that puts you in a flanking position of said zombie. Again, advantage on the attacks being in flanking.
Nat 20.
Nat 20, nice.
Beautiful.
Roll your damage for your weapon first. So roll two dice for your damage. So for your daggers, it'd be 2d4, then add your 3. Then do your sneak
Okay,
attack.
so that's 8 altogether plus
Plus your sneak attack.
3. Hang on, that's 2. No, hang on, that's 10 now, isn't it?
Yes. So your sneak attack is d10s. So 8 plus 3 is 11.
Plus 10.
Plus 10, so that's 21 damage on your first strike. And as you strike the zombie, yeah, that zombie's taken damage. That zombie is just obliterated with that strike. You literally strike it in its kidney, and the force of the blow is so intense that your hand goes right through and literally comes through the other side, and you virtually disembowel it from behind. As you pull the dagger back, all the old rotting entrails just fall from inside the zombie's body, and it just crumples and drops before you. You do have 10 feet of movement left and a second attack with your bonus action.
Yeah, do that.
You want to go to the zombie? You got a zombie by Fiala, and you've got 2 skeletons by Sadiq.
We'll take out the zombie near Fiala.
You'll also have advantage on that attack. No sneak attack though, and no bonus no offhand damage, but you still have advantage on the attack, being in flanking position.
Now I've still got that +4, don't I?
Yes, you still have the +4. What was your roll first? You may not need it.
Got the 14.
Yep, that's a hit. They're not very hard to hit. Zombies, they're not fast creatures.
And that's 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 damage. You don't add your +3 on your offhand because you don't have.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be just your D4.
4.
4? Sweet. So that zombie takes another 4 points of slashing damage as Alessandros jams another dagger into its kidney from behind and sort of waits, readying yourself for the next attack. Fiala, you are next.
I would like to use my bonus action first and move that spear and try to ram it into one of the ones next to.
Okay. Move the body. How far can you move it?
60 feet, so.
Alright, so you're going to just ram it into which skeleton? One closest to or the one furthest away?
Closest.
Flaming. I should actually come. I'm going to have to make a spell effect for this. Hang on a second.
Little red marble or something.
Boom. That'll work. So there's our flaming sphere. So yes, you move as your bonus action. You move your flaming sphere towards the skeleton, who makes a dex throw, rolls a 6, which I think is absolute crap.
I like it.
Makes it an 8 total, which I think is still a failure.
Yes.
What's your spell DC?
13.
Yeah. So,
Oh, my spell DC is yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be on your spell page.
Yeah, it says Dex 13. That's right.
Yeah.
For the saving.
Yep, that's it. So your DC is 13. So it does fail. Takes full damage. So roll your damage.
7.
7 points of flaming damage. So first damage that skeleton is taken, but it bursts into flames and starts. You hit any sort of clothing it's had on it and just bursts into flames, and it's all bone dry, being a skeletal warrior. They're normally pretty old and crusty. So that's your bonus action.
Yes.
Now for your action.
I'd like to do my shillelagh.
Smack that zombie.
Yes. So that would be.
I missed that, sorry.
It's 10.
That hits. That does hit.
Oh, good.
So zombies aren't hard to hit. There's not much. They're not very dexterous.
And that's also a 7.
7. Ooh, getting close. The zombie takes the thumping blow from your staff. You crack down across the back of its head and shoulder, and you hear the bones break as you strike down on the zombie's body, and you can see the once what would have been blood that's now sort of congealed and black and gooey, starting to sort of run down from the wounds from its face and everything else, and it looks slow and sluggish now. It's looking very, very, very hurt. Next in line is Sadiq.
Is there anything around me right now to attack?
You've got 2 skeletons directly in front of you.
Alright, I'm going to take a swing at one.
Okie dokie. Roll your attack.
15?
15 hits. And remember to add your d6 radiant damage. Now, with your sword flaming, does that stay? How long does that last?
Until I dispel it.
Okay, cool. So roll your damage for your sword, your flame damage, and your radiant damage.
Alright, so sword slashing is 6.
6.
Flame is 4.
It's 10.
Radiant is 3.
3, so that'll be... That is enough to obliterate another zombie. In a flash of radiant light, another zombie falls to your blade, and you feel a satisfaction. You know this is what you've lived your whole life for, ever since you found the remains of your village or your city in ashes and ruin from the vampire coven. Every undead that falls to your blade is just another piece of you that you get back. So you have this immense pride and satisfaction just taking these things down, and especially in this way, it's an amazing feel. It's almost a euphoric feeling for you. Douche. So you have a bonus action left and movement. You're basically 10 feet from another skeleton. And
yeah, just move up to the next one.
Move up to the next one. Just put you over that side and make it easier. Now, with the flaming sphere, Fiala, does that hurt friendlies or not?
It doesn't say anything about anyone else. No.
I don't think it does. I think you have to finish your turn within 5 feet of it to take damage, so you're fine. Next up on the initiative order is the Flaming Skull. So the Flaming Skull is assessing the situation, sees Neymaris over there by herself, and is going to cast a spell. What is you going to cast, Mr. Flaming Skull? Right. Rolls a 11 to hit.
It misses.
It misses. Second attack is that's better. 21 to hit, so it hits you on the second. And does 5 points of fire damage.
Which I can probably have.
No, you can't. All your raging half damage is from bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing.
Okay, so 5?
So 5 points of fire damage to you. He is not going to move. He's going to remain where he is. And will... That's an action. No, that's all he's going to do. Next up is the zombie, the only zombie that's left. So he's going to strike out at... Who did the most damage there? Probably Fiona. So he's going to attack you, Fiona, with a 22, which does hit. And with his, again, 1d6, does 4 points of bludgeoning damage. Yeah, the zombie just sort of, again, reaches forward and just, again, pummels down on your chest again, and this time sort of knocking you down to one knee, and you sort of get back up and you feel that, you know there's going to be some serious bruising there tomorrow. That was quite painful, but it wasn't as painful as the previous one. The zombie's just not looking pretty good, but can still wallop a pack a punch. Neymaris, you're next.
I look at the Flaming Skull and I'm like, how dare you, and walk out.
You gonna go to it?
Yep.
And you're going to attack the Flaming Skull.
4, 6.
How much?
8.
Was that with your D4?
Yep.
You got an 8 total. You miss. you go, and the flaming skull sort of just, as it's hovering, sort of dips under your blade and comes back up, and it's almost like it's grinning at you. It's like it's taunting you. Completely silent. All you hear is that flame sort of sound as it's sort of moving and hovering in the air. That sound that flames make of you as you move it. It's just that.
Oh shit! No, sorry, I forgot to add my hit DC.
You got to remember your character, lady.
13.
That does hit. Next time I'm going to tell you too bad.
And she is bitching at me that I should be doing it. Sheesh.
Love you. That's 11 damage.
11 what damage?
Slashing, blade, blood.
It'll say on your weapon.
It's a slashy thing.
So it's slashing damage. It'll say on your weapon what the
Slashing.
damage is. Thank you. I need to know because there are conditions at play here. So slashing damage. How much total? Sorry.
11.
11 slashing damage. As you find purchase on this tiny skull head floating in midair, all lit up and on fire, deal 11 points of slashing damage. Brings so you bonus action movement. No, you've moved. Action, bonus action. So that's it. Skeleton's turn. I don't think there's any skeletons left. I think they're all dead. No, we got one left.
In front of me.
Yeah, so we got one skeleton left. Got 2 zombies left. That's what that was supposed to be. Right, so we have... Gonna turn and face you. Hit, you're up next. And strike at Sadiq with a natural 1. Critical fail. The skeleton sort of turns and goes to strike, and again just clashes blades with you. The flaming blade lighting up the skeleton's face, and this one looks a little different. He's actually got a helmet and a breastplate, so he's got a bit more armor on. But he sort of gives you a sort of a cocked undead grin, but can't quite find purchase on your armor. So hit, you are next. Ellie, you're up after that.
Hit grabs the head of his loot just as it's hanging on a strap behind him, still with the dagger in hand. He standing in front of the zombie, I believe it is in front of Fiala.
It is, yes.
He says, gripping the head of his loot, he says, "Hell ain't a bad place. Hell is from here to eternity." And he drops Sacred Flame, has to make a dex save.
Dex save. Rolls a natural 6. I think his dex is -2. So
You had to make a 13, so
yeah, I think that's a
not good.
fail.
And he takes 2 radiant damage.
So it's enough. With the vulnerability, it's 4. I only had 3 points left. So, again, Sacred Flame, as the loot sort of finishes the tune, the flame sort of comes from the heavens, and it's a brilliant white light, and it engulfs the fucking zombie in that flame, and it just virtually disintegrates before your eyes.
Sorry, the
Screaming
loot
in
played
pain.
no tune. It's a cleric spell. The
That's right, Sacred
symbol
Flame.
would have lit up. Sorry.
No, you're right. So yes, so the head of the loot, your holy symbol that was magically imbued to the head of the loot, glows in what sort of color was the symbol itself?
Just a shining gold.
Just shining gold. So it would shine. It would light up in a real brilliant yellowy white, radiant sort of light, and as it sort of glowed, that flame would have just engulfed the zombie from the ground up. Brilliant white and gold and yellow flame just destroying the zombie, and sort of you hear it sort of go to take a breath, or almost a breath in, and gasp and scream, and there's just no sound as the flame just engulfs it and it drops to the ground. So bonus action movement.
Yes, as a bonus action, I'll take a look at the 2 in front of me, Ellie and Fiala, just to look at their wounds, see if anyone looks like they need any help.
So which of you guys looks the worst? I would say.
I haven't taken any damage.
Well, there you go.
That would be me.
That would be Fiala. Is anyone taking damage out of those 2?
And Fiala, by looking at you, would I be able to gauge if you need any help, or do you feel all right?
I'm halfway up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd notice she's taken a reasonable amount of damage, and you'd probably determine that she probably would not benefit from a bit of a heal, especially with a flame.
Keeps that in mind, and then walks towards the nearest enemy.
Nearest enemy. That'll put you in roughly melee contact with the last skeleton there.
Correct. And that's the end of Hit's turn.
That is the end of Hit's turn. Alessandros, you are next.
I'll go help Namaris.
That'll put you there. Again, you get advantage anyway because of Namaris being within 5 feet of the target. So you get your 2 attacks. Sneak attack on the first with advantage on your attack roll.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh shit.
That doesn't sound good.
1.
You rolled a nat 1. Oh way!
Is that with advantage?
Critical fail. Did you roll it with advantage? You get 2 rolls.
Okay, cool.
I was going to say you get 2 rolls.
That's 2.
2 rolls and 1 and a 2.
Oh, unlucky.
Oh wow! You definitely miss. You got your second attack though. You've got.
Right, second attack.
Don't forget you got bless as well. You got a D4 on top of that. But
so that's a 15.
Your
with the
offhand attack does hurt. Does hit, sorry. So you get your 1d4 damage. That's pretty much it.
4.
4. Hey, you roll. At least you're rolling well on that. And that was piercing damage for you. Is it piercing or slashing for your dagger?
It is.
It is piercing, yeah. I figured it would be. So, 4 piercing damage on the flaming skull. So yeah, the first hit, you've never seen a flaming skull before. It's kind of weird to look at, and as you go to strike out with it, again, it just darts out of the way and turns around and looks at you, almost grinning. And as it does that, you sort of jab it with your offhand and manage to sort of strike out at it with your dagger. But you get the impression that it didn't do as much damage as you would hope.
Yeah, something like that.
Fiala, you're up next. Sadiq, you're after that.
I'm trying to see if my flaming spear can move to the one next to Sadiq without hurting.
They're all within. Yeah, well, you can move it literally to right there beside it, and it'll take the damage without anyone else taking the damage.
All right, we're gonna try for that.
Try for that. So it makes a dex save, which fails again. So roll your 2d6 and give me your flaming damage.
It'd be 7.
7 points of fire damage. So as you move the flame forward, it slams into the skeleton and ignites the thing again. It's writhing around in pain and screaming, and it's not happy. It doesn't like this bloody flame that's floating around here. Next up is a bonus action and movement for you now. So that was your bonus action, wasn't it, to move it?
Yeah.
So now you have action.
I'll just move. I'll move a little bit diagonal by.
So which way?
Towards head.
So how far you want to go? 10 feet, 15?
15.
About 15 feet, so that'll put you about there. Cool. Sadiq, you are next. You've still got the skeleton on you.
Yeah, I'm going to attack the skeleton. That's an 18.
That definitely hits. So roll for your weapon damage, your flame damage, and your radiant damage.
Okay, let's see. So that's 14/2 radiant, 2 fire.
Holy shit. Again, another skeleton falls to the Heavenly Executioner. Again, being absolutely obliterated in radiant light as it explodes and scatters in bone dust and shards of bone. Badoosh. There's another skeleton down. So all we have left on the field is one zombie and the flaming skull. So you still have bonus action and movement.
I'll move around towards the flaming skull.
Just move this over a bit. You want to move right into combat with the skull? Because you can.
Probably. Yeah.
We're going to get back in there. Cool. So that is you. Flaming skull is next. He's now surrounded by characters. He's not happy. What is he going to do here? With an action, it is going to cast. Nope, can't do that. That's a reaction. You might. I'll save that one. I think I can do that one. There's an action. So that you, all of a sudden, you guys notice the skull sort of almost phase in and out briefly, and it just every now and again it just sort of blinks and phases. For the next minute, You guys have disadvantage on all attack rolls against this creature.
What kind of damage was it?
All attacks. It's all attack rolls. Body becomes blurred, shifting and wavering to all who can see you. For the duration, any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. So he's cast blur on himself.
Ah, okay.
So every attack now has disadvantage. Any attack that's an auto hit is fine, because it's an auto hit. But yeah. So currently, any melee attack. Any attack roll, anything that requires an attack roll is done at disadvantage. And he will attack twice at Neymaris again. 13 to hit the first.
Missed.
Actually, no, he won't, because he's taken up his action. Never mind. That'll be it for the skull. And next will be the last zombie, who's going to roll into attack Alessandros. And 9. 12 to hit.
Negative.
That misses as well. So he goes to reach out and sort of smash on the back of the head with his fist, and you sort of see it coming and just dodge out of the way, doing the whole stealthy rogue thing. Next is Neymaris.
Right, well that's really good because at disadvantage that's a natural 1 plus 5 is 6.
So natural 1.
7, 8.
So Neymaris, in all her rage, again strikes out at this skull, and just as the moment she goes to hit, it phases and shifts, and she misses completely. And
So who should be burning their dice? Huh?
I imagine one had 15, so shush.
And with that, actually, because you get you make a straight roll
Right, roll.
because you've got advantage anyway because of your ability with everyone else in combat. Yeah, so be a straight roll.
So that makes it 18, 20.
Yeah, okay, that hits. Yeah, so
21.
anyone, even though the blur's on, those that are in 5 feet of Neymaris, it'd be a straight roll. There would be no disadvantage.
$10 damage, slashing.
10 slashing damage. Slash. This time, we reiterate that it doesn't move, and you manage to gauge it as it shifts and moves and blurs. You manage just to find that right moment and slash across its head again, and the flame sort of dissipates and dies down, and then flares back up again.
I really don't like this thing.
Hit, you are next, and Alessandro after that.
Alright, hit. He can see that the creature in front of him fell to its death, and he was disappointed. So he sees the only thing left the flaming skull, is it?
We've got a zombie as well, which is behind Alessandro's.
Oh right. Which one's closer to me, the zombie or the skull?
The skull.
Okay, the closest one to me I will be going for. So I grab my loot and aim it forward. I play nothing again, but aim the loot as if it was a gun type weapon.
Yes.
And I fire a magic missile.
Magic
at second level.
Nice.
So 4 missiles.
Roll your damage.
And they were all white light missiles. 14 damage with the missiles as they streak towards it.
What's the damage on magic missiles? What type of damage?
A D4. That is a good question.
It's radiant.
Force damage.
Force damage. Okay, cool. So 14 force damage?
14 force damage.
Yeah. You watch. What color are your missiles again?
White.
White. Everything's white. You guys see that again. That he raises his loot. The whole is it the holy symbol that lights up? Because you don't play anything.
Correct. It's the holy symbol.
Holy symbol lights up once again, and from the holy symbol, 4 white missiles just snake out and towards the flaming skull, zipping in around friendly targets across the top of the well there, and just slam one after the other. Boop, boom, 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 right into the skull's face, dealing 14 points of force damage, and its flame almost goes completely out. And as it sort of comes back up and phase shifts again, you notice the flame is very dim now. It's not nowhere near as bright as it was before.
Head runs as his movement, head as close to it as he can get, just runs headlong at it, still holding his loot up high like a gun.
Probably get into there, which will put you into melee range of both the zombie and the flaming skull.
Excellent.
It doesn't care right now.
No, doesn't seem like Hit cares for much right now. Alishonus, you're next. Fiala, you're up after that.
Oh, seeing I have this zombie at my back, I'll attack the zombie.
So roll to attack. You get sneak attack again because you're within 5 feet of an ally.
Nat 20.
Now 20. Roll your damage. 2d4 plus 3. And then your sneak attack damage.
10 on the blades. And 6 for the sneak attack.
Nice. So as you hear the zombie sort of reach out and basically tried to grab and strike you, you'd sort of duck and twist and turn and just bury a dagger up under its ribcage. Second strike, you're offhand. Roll to hit.
That's a miss.
What was your roll?
I rolled a 5, so plus 4. Yeah,
No, it hits.
What?
I said, always tell me what your number is, because you don't know what the AC is on some of these creatures. So
That's a 1.
So you get a 1 damage. That's better than nothing. And second dagger comes around and just jabs up on the other rib cage. The zombie's looking rough. It's looking hurt. It's sort of arms have dropped, its head's dropped, but it's still alive. But well, as alive as an undead zombie can be. But it's almost dead. Almost. Looking pretty rough. Right, so who was next on the initiative order? Fiala, you're up next. And Sadiq, you're after that.
How tall is the well? Is it under 5 feet?
Yeah, the size of the well would be about 5 feet, sort of from the ground to the edge of the well.
All right, I'm gonna hover my flame sphere over the well in front of the.
In front of the flaming skull?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to ram it.
Okay.
And I yell, "Sorry, guys!"
So it hovers over the well and slams into the flaming skull, and it doesn't seem to have any effect at all.
Oh no!
What about to the others?
Yeah, you guys within 5 feet. So now Maris and Sadiq, dex saving throws, please.
Is Hit not in the range either?
No, you're
Dirty
out.
20.
You save.
10.
You fail. So roll 2d6 damage, fire damage, Fiala.
5.
So now Maris, you take 2 points of fire damage, and Sadiq, you take 5 points of fire damage. As the flaming sphere slams into the flaming skull and also slams into you guys. Yeah, so that Sadiq, you're next. That's your bonus action, isn't it? So you still got an action left, sorry, Fiala, and movement.
I'm wondering, is Sadiq 60 feet?
Everyone's within 60 feet of you.
Alright, I'm gonna cast Healing Word on him.
Healing word on Sadiq. Okay, roll for your heal.
Oh, it's a 9.
9 Sadiq, you also, after taking that fire damage, and you think, ah! And then all of a sudden you feel this warm feeling come over you as you regain 9 hit points.
Interesting.
Feels warm and fuzzy. Flaming Skull's not next. Salik, you're next.
Yes, so I'm going to dispel my flame
Yep.
and then take a swing at the
Take a swing. So roll to hit.
flaming skull. 19?
That definitely hits.
12 slash. Do I do the radiant as
Yeah,
well?
it will be. Yes, it's an evil undead. So you do radiant damage as well. So what was your slashing damage?
There's 12 slash and 4 on the radiant.
So let's see. I'll read something here quite just. Okay, so yeah, as you strike down on the flaming skull, you hit it right across the crown of the skull, and the flame extinguishes, and the skull drops to the ground in a flash of radiant damage, and sort of skitters across the ground. It doesn't destroy it; it's still there, but it's flame out, and it appears motionless.
Any other enemies nearby?
We have a zombie left.
Turn and head towards that.
We'll probably go out and around and go into a flanking position there. So flanking position on that. Let's just reduce that there. And yeah, so the flaming skull would have been next. But it is down. 1 second here. Yep, so next in line is the zombie, who's going to attack Elisandros again. Rolls a 15 to hit.
Yep.
And you take 5 points of bludgeoning damage. The damage is hurt, but there wasn't a lot of strength behind that hit. It's not looking healthy at all. It's not going to do anything else. So, Neymaris.
I'm going to attack that skull again.
This flaming skull, even though it's on the ground motionless. Okay.
I don't trust that it's completely dead.
Roll,
and I hit
roll
it
for attack.
with 20.
Yeah, that hits.
And it gets 10 damage.
10 damage. Roll a dexterity saving throw for me.
19.
19. So you take 1 point of slashing damage back. As you strike the skull, you hit the skull without a problem, and it definitely hits the skull, but as you hit it, the blade virtually bounces back almost instantly and strikes you in your own shoulder. 1 point of slashing damage. That was with your rage.
Oh.
Skull's still there. It's still motionless, but yeah. Is that what we're gonna do?
I'm going to turn around and move towards the
thing. The thing. Okay, so you're surrounding the zombie. Het is your next turn, sir.
Zombie's dead.
Het reaches to the loot, pulling it right round, and for the first time in the entire battle, he actually plays the loot. He flicks one of the switches on the loot, and accesses need more gain.
No problem.
And he strikes the highest string at the highest note and starts to squeal as loud as he can. And he opens his maw and just, not even a word, just in one note goes, ah, and rides up in a falsetto, ah, and casts Shatter.
Oh, awesome.
The zombie makes a save at disadvantage,
It
a
does.
Constitution save.
Rolls a nat 1 on disadvantage.
So it takes 3d8 damage.
Don't even
which
roll
I'm
it,
sure
bro.
it's a-
Don't even roll it.
Okay. It's thunder damage too, so it's extremely loud to everyone.
Yeah, this massive clap of thunder as the note reaches its crescendo, which is piercing in itself to your guys' ears. So you've not heard a note quite that high before, even from an instrument, let alone a person. And yeah, then that almighty clap of thunder as the zombie just is completely obliterated in thunder damage, scattering bones and bits of flesh from where
That's
you guys
exactly
are
what I was
standing,
thinking.
up the door and wall of the house and across anyone that's sort of there. So Alessandros and Sadiq, you pretty much all you guys get covered in some form of goop from this damage as a zombie's completely obliterated.
And that is it for Hit. He thinks everything is down.
And yeah, pretty much that is it. Just as the last zombie falls, you guys hear from behind you as a snickering. You all turn and look, and you see a woman standing there. She is... We're just going to go back over to this one here for a second. You see a woman standing in front, or not in front of you, on the stairs of one of the main buildings, and she's just sniggering under her breath. And she looks over to you guys. She's also in front of her. There's Sadiq. You recognise him instantly. Is the young elf rogue named Sulla. He's kind of willowy, short golden hair, hazel eyes. He's wearing his guild-studded armour. He's not moving. He's not looking at you. He doesn't appear to be hurt in any way, but he's not moving. And she sort of looks up at you guys and just says, "Fools! You do not understand what you're dealing with here. My master, he will find you, destroy you all. The prophecy has begun. You know not what you're doing." And she sort of folds her hands in front of her, looking out at you again. And just from nowhere, you guys hear again that same prophecy that you heard, the same incantation you heard in the keep, just playing, sort of echoing in the back of your minds. And Sadiq, you hear this as well for the first time. You've not heard this before. Essentially, you guys know it as the profanity of Asmodeus the Cruel. Pantheon of 9 hells, infernal spirit, I am the one to summon thee. I call upon the minions of the hells. Spew forth your unholy forces. Let the prophecy be fulfilled. This nocturnal hour and chalice of blood, Pantheon of 9 hells, your will be done. She then speaks again. Does anyone try and do anything at this point?
How far away is she from me?
From all of you, the closest one would have been Fiala. She's probably about 40 feet from you. Probably about within 30 feet of Fiala.
I'm going to charge her and try to attack.
Roll a d20 for me.
Just straight d20.
Just straight d20.
Was 13.
13. As you turn and face her and try to move, your muscles lock up. You go to speak, and your voice isn't there. You're completely paralyzed.
Simultaneously, Hit tries to lob his flask of holy water, the second one.
Again, same thing. As you reach to grab your flask and you grab it, but as you reach up to throw it, all your muscles lock up instantly. And again, you try to speak and nothing comes. And again, she just looks up in your direction and says, "No use. You can't beat me. Asmodeus, the ruler of Nessus, the 9th layer of hell, commands us all. You mortals will fall. But you'll see him soon enough. My master will rid the stinking plane of all who resist. any who tries to thwart the coming darkness. She then leans forward and down and pushes Sala's head to one side and bites into his neck. You can hear that sickening gulping sound and slurps and gulps as she drains the life from this young rogue. She suddenly looks up at you without warning. She shrieks loudly, so loud in fact your ears start to ring. The rest of you then feel your bodies tense and almost like all your muscles just contract. You can't move, you can't do anything, and then she just rushes towards you, Sadiq. Like, amazingly fast, and right before she reaches you, she vanishes in a silent explosion of dark mist and ash. After a few moments, seems like minutes, but it was probably more like seconds, you guys feel the ability to move come back, your muscles unlock, you're able to speak, and you sort of all drop forward to your knees, almost exhausted from that intense sort of tightening of all your muscles, and you're able to speak again.
I've been as affected as everybody else by that.
Yes, everyone was affected.
I look at the party and go, that's one of the ones I've been chasing.
Yes, you recognise her as she's not a full-fledged vampire. She's a vampire spawn, and they're normally sent as messengers or as scouts or just general mischief makers. So you know that this is just the beginning of something more sinister.
So she bit the neck of the rogue?
Yeah, she tore his throat out.
Alright, I'm going to go over and check to make sure he's dead live. If he's dead, pack him up so that he can be shipped.
And again, in your experience, your dealings with the undead and with vampires, you know that the type of wound that he's inflicted, he's not going to turn. He did not taste of her blood. He just literally had his bulk of his blood drain and his throat ripped out. So yeah, you can prepare him along with the rest of your party, or the rest of your scouting party, to return to either Gatton or Valanda, wherever you're going to return them to basically a proper burial. So with that, you're out of initiative now. Yes.
I'm just a little worried about that skull.
Mm.
The skull is still there. It's not flaming. It's not moving.
I'm going to go and smash it with my foot.
You're going to try and smash it with your foot?
Oh god, no.
Roll a strength check.
That one. So that's 3.
It's 3. You take another 2 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh my god.
As the skull doesn't move. It's there, but it didn't move, and you hurt your foot.
Oh, well, then I'm just going to boot it.
Are we able to pick it up?
You can pick it up, definitely. You're able to pick it up.
It just looks like a normal skull.
Just like a normal skull. You can see the charring from where the flame had emitted from, but it looks like it's taken no damage at all. It looks just like the skull, just without the flame.
Hey Sadiq,
Yes.
do you have any knowledge about flaming skulls, or is this a new one for you?
Roll a history check. Actually, hit roll a history check as well.
Please be high, please be high.
Mine's 17.
17.
Hit only rolled a 4, and he's far too concerned with just breathing heavily on his hands and knees.
Okay. So so even with a 17, you pretty much just got it anyway. So you remember the moment, like you're holding the skull in your hand, and you remember from again dealing with the undeath and with fiends and all the research you've done to try and hunt these creatures down, that the skull's not dead. It's at 0 hit points. It appears dead, but if you don't sprinkle it with holy water or dispel magic or remove curse on this particular skull, within an hour it's going to regenerate and come back with all its hit points, and it's going to attack again if anyone's still here.
So I'm going to pull out another one of my flasks of holy water and douse the thing with.
And again, the moment as you do, the skull just disintegrates in your hand. It literally just disintegrates into watery dust and runs out of your hands, and is now dead for good. Well done, team.
I'm going to also then go around, gather up all the zombies and everything, pile them up into a pyre and just block.
Okay. Do we want to search for loot first, guys, before you destroy all the loot?
That would be a good idea. Yes.
Checking the bodies while we're doing it.
Okay. Right. Everyone who is investigating the bodies, who's going to head the investigation for looking for loot? Well, choose one person to roll with advantage, since it's a whole group of you, basically.
The way my dice rolls have been going lately, probably not.
I'll do it.
Okay, so roll with advantage. So roll 2d20s, take the highest. So it's an investigation check.
Ooh. 22.
22.
I'm glad he did it.
So collectively, as you're going through all the bodies, you find 230 gold pieces.
Hang on.
So the party funds. 230 gold. You find a vial of dark green viscous liquid. Is anyone proficient in alchemy by any chance?
Nope.
No.
But what was the gold again?
It was just a 230 gold. So if no one's proficient in alchemy, it's just a vial of dark green viscous liquid. Also a vial of yellow viscous liquid. And you also find a silver ring with a small sapphire set in the center. The ring is very, very well made and is kind of cool to the touch. You also find a pair of goggles, almost like steampunk goggles, but again, very, very well made. Kind of cool looking things. They're not big bulky steampunk goggles, but they're all like little round goggles that you stick over your eyes, and they've got a tinted lens on them, which it looks like glass, but it's not glass.
Head stands up and goes over and sits on the edge of the well. Starts to clean down his loot.
No problem. And that's pretty much what you find there. Actually, no, sorry. You do find a spell scroll.
So one of the spellcasters can take that. I have no interest.
To identify the spell scroll, yeah. If you give it to one of the spellcasters, you roll a intelligence check to see whether you know what the spell is or not. So which of the spellcasters is going to take the spell scroll?
So a bottle of what green
dark
viscous fluid?
Dark green viscous fluid and a silvery yellow viscous fluid as well. So you got 2 vials.
Fiala can take the skull hit. Is not really taking note of what's going on.
Okay. So Fiala, roll an intelligence check. Just a general intelligence.
8.
8. You've not seen this spell before, but you do recognise its elements, and it will act as if you add it to your inventory, it'll be just a 3rd level spell scroll, but the spell scroll is a spell of remove curse. So yeah, so if you want to add it to your inventory, go into your equipment and just search spell scroll level 3, and you should find it, and then just put in the notes on the when you add it that it's for remove curse.
I'm going to look over at Ellie and go, those 2 vials, can I please have a look at them and pull out my alchemy kit?
Ah, you have an alchemy kit. Okay, so we will say roll. Are you proficient in alchemy?
Apparently.
Okay, so with that, roll a d20 plus your proficiency plus your medicine check. So do a medicine check with your proficiency bonus.
Well, in that case, I may as well give him the other 2 as well.
Yeah, well, if you want to identify all of them, yeah.
I got 1 bottle of greenish viscous fluid and 1 dark red fluid.
Right, so I look at all of them, and that was a 19?
19. So the dark green viscous fluid, you determine after spending about 10 or 15 minutes sort of going through and having a look at it and sort of running a few minor tests with your alchemy kit, that it is a potion of necrotic resistance. The other one, the yellow one, is a potion of speed. Or a speed potion, whatever you want to call it. The dark red one that you had initially, Trash, was, I believe, a greater healing potion. What was the other one you had?
A greenish.
Greenish one. I think that one might have been just a vial of poison, from memory serves.
So yeah, I just identify him and point it out to him and hand him back.
So yeah, so that is everything there. So you now are aware that something more is happening. There is a so-called master. You've heard the name Asmodeus, who is the god of the 9th layer of hell. You're not sure who the master is. You're not sure whether she was referring to Asmodeus as her master or someone else. Sadiq, you get the impression that it's probably her sire or a greater vampire, which is more than likely the vampire that you've been seeking, but you're not 100% sure. Hit. For the first time, you guys, Alshonris and Amaris especially, you've never seen Hit act in this manner before. He's normally, even in battle, he's normally a lot less serious and a lot less broody, for want of a better term.
I'm going to walk over to him and I'm going to sit down next to him and look at him and kind of wipe some goop off his shoulder and go, "You've got a bit of stuff there, friend. Are you all right?"
Yes, creatures tend to explode when I go overboard like that.
And I sit down next to him and start cleaning my sword as well, because I'm looking at him going, "Well, that was very impressive."
I appreciate the niceties, but I owe someone an apology. And Hit stands up and walks over to Sadiq, and he hands the flask of holy water they had left over. He didn't quite get to throw at the end. He says, "Thank you for the holy water. The first one did well. I didn't quite get this one off."
Keep it, you may need it. And I hand him another.
Thank you very much. I will take them and use them to the best of my ability. I must apologize for maybe accusatory remarks or statements, or maybe just the way I might have made you feel. However, we have some ups and downs in this party sometimes. But it is nice to have another male figure, even though you aren't as beautiful as Alexandros over there. You are a rather stunning tall lad.
I look at him and I go, yes.
I was trying to be nice, that's all I got.
And he goes back over and sits on the well's edge.
Does anyone else want to say or do anything? We're almost at the end of the show. We've got about 8 minutes to go. So we can call it there and pick up from this point next show, or unless you guys want to make preparations at the very least to head back to Gatton.
Start making prep to head back, I reckon.
Yep. Start loading the dead guild members onto the cart or something.
Yep. So you've got the cart there. You don't have any horses because I believe you guys decided to let your horses go.
I look at Sadiq and go, "Oh bugger! I sent them back to where they came."
But in saying that, Sadiq does have a horse which he had hitched up elsewhere, so you do have a horse. I was just seeing how that was going to go.
Hit has 3 cure wounds. He will cure wounds on anyone who can, up to 3 people who need it.
I'm gonna say yes, please.
Okay, Namaris,
He comes over to you and he just puts his hand on your shoulder. No vocal again, just cast the spell.
that
I'll
is,
take
I will
one
give
as
you...
well.
Namaris, you get 9 points of healing. Was that you again, Sadiq?
Yes.
Sadiq, you get 11 points of healing. And Fiela, Ali, are you feeling all right?
I should be right for after a night's rest.
I'll take one.
Excellent. Fiela, you get 5 points of healing.
Thank you.
So yeah, again, as you take the time to heal some wounds, you have looted through and piled up the corpses of the undead and set them ablaze. Are you going to leave the village as it is, or are you going to burn the buildings as well?
No, I want to leave the buildings.
Leave the buildings. Okay, so you leave the village as it is. Yeah.
I'd like to say a little blessing over the horse and burn it.
Okay, cool. I would have assumed you would have added the horse to the pile as well. Well, you had one pile going, so you'll say your thing. You'll do your little druid thing over the horse and add that to the pyre. Does anyone say anything as over the bodies of the villagers before you set them ablaze?
Before I set them ablaze, I say, by Tempest, you will be avenged.
Okay, cool. Anybody else?
They just say, "Nah."
Typical Alexandros.
In Helm's name, rest easy.
Okay, cool.
Hit stands in front of the blaze, holds his loot upright in front of him, and just says a few words to the steel lady as well.
Okay, cool. I just did send you a message telling you the name.
Yes. Yeah, I had struck the exact same name, thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. I kind of figured those would be your brother's names too, by the way. it was kind of obvious.
Sweet.
But that's cool. So as you do that, you guys spend a few moments. You say a few words. You send the villagers to their respective deities, burning the remains to ensure that they don't come back again. You pack up the bodies of the fallen guild members, including poor Salo, who had his throat ripped out, adding him to the cart. Cover the cart, hitch the horse up, and essentially make preparations to head back to Gatton. So are you going to spend the night in the village and head back in the morning, or are you going to head back now? And it'll probably, with one horse and cart and walking, it'll probably take you about 4 or 5 hours. to get there.
What time of day is it right now?
It's probably hitting 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So
I'd be tempted. I'd rather not stay in the village, guys. I'd rather head on, and if we need to, we can.
I agree.
okay, so what we'll do is we'll call it there, and we'll pick up as you head back to Gatton next time round. So essentially, you've made your decisions, you've packed up the bodies ready to go, and you're about to depart, and that's where we'll call our story for this evening. Again, well done everybody. Great fight. I didn't quite know how you guys would deal with a flaming skull, but you did well.
It's a flaming mo, man.
The vampire spawn you were never going to fight, so don't fret about that. You would have died if you tried. But XP for the game this evening. We will round it up at, even though you didn't actually fight the vampire spawn, it was part of it, it was there. We're going to say 700 XP each tonight, including roleplay. Hit, awesome roleplay, dude. Fit your character very, very well. And
Cheers.
Sadiq, welcome to the team, welcome to the group. Again, awesome guys, you did very well. So if anyone levels up, let me know so I can adjust stats and thing for the overlay. Obviously, add spells and things like that if you need to. Any backstory stuff that you want to discuss with me, don't hesitate to message me on Discord, send me an email, whatever. Chat, you guys rock. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Magic, Death, awesome to see you guys stop by. Thank you so much for the hosts. AWOL, Sen as well. Amazing to see you guys hang out and just lurk with us. Again, awesome story tonight. We have our team. Finally, we have a full team of everyone in the same time zone. Give or take. Well, as close as we're going to get, which makes things a little easier to organise when you've got people that are only 2 hours apart instead of 15 or 16 hours apart. So that will definitely make things easier. Join us again in 2 weeks' time for episode 13, the return to Gatton, which will see our team returning to Gatton and then Voland, or maybe to Gatton at the very least. We do have another quest in this area, so thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you to the players. Awesome game. We will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Ciao for now.
Bye.
Well, actually, we'll see you again on Monday for some gaming. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Monday, Tuesday. See you then.
Let me know